In the year of 2023, I traveled from East Coast to West Coast and visited over 40 different haunted houses, or mazes if you want to call them that. Now, some of these were brand new mazes, some of them were repeats, and it's interesting to see what has made my final top 10 for the year and the best mazes of 2023. Are you ready? Let's start with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Stranglewood Estate. Yes, this is a repeat house. Yes, it is a Howl O Scream Tampa house, and it is damn good. That is why it made my list. This house is truly, I think, a re-step or rebranding for Howl O Scream going forward, and it's going to be that one house that we always remember and we look back like years from now to say that was kind of the start of them just stepping up what they could do with a house. Because if you've seen some of the worst of what Howl O Scream Tampa produced, this is certainly on the opposite end of that. It is a HHN level house. And when I say that, like, it is packed with so much effects, so much like different variety. You're going through this entire, like, almost this mansion, and it feels like you were lost in this big mansion. And every time I've got to experience it, it's been kind of pulsed to where you almost felt like you were alone in it. So bravo, good job, Howl O Scream Tampa. Fantastic job. Stranglewood Estate, number 10. And for number 9, we are heading right back to Howl O Scream Tampa once again for their brand new maze for this year, D.H. Bagham's Circus of Fear. There's quite a lot I can just talk about this house. It's, again, HHN level quality, just from a design standpoint. It starts out with this like open courtyard, and then you go into the tent. It's really, really cool the way they did it. Really, I don't really have too many cons for this house, except for I just wish it was a little more scary, maybe more actors. That would be my only downfall on it. Fantastic job. Just gives you that really kind of eerie feeling on clowns without going too overboard. Fantastic house, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with this going forward. If they can make a few adjustments for next year's return of it, I think it'll be another slam dunk for maybe our best mazes.
Universal specifically. Let's check in with Fox 35 David Martin. He's got a preview of Halloween Horror Nights. David.
Is called Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate.
Dueling Dragons coming in at number 8. It probably will shock a lot of people that this house is on my list. I love this house. I love the medieval theme. We don't really get stuff like that, especially with horror, and the way that it felt sort of like the house was alive. There was a battle going on, and you felt like you were in the middle of this battle and not just going from scene A to scene B like you do with like a movie, typically like an IP house. This felt like it was just truly you were traveling through this castle and in the middle of this war, and it really had such dope effects. The book that they showed, the Oddfellow symbol, and the way it lit up, the way the two wizards were battling each other, did like their ice effect or stuff all throughout the house. Great transformation scene that happens right before they turn into the dragons. Dueling Dragons, man, like, wow. Who would have thought? A coaster into a haunted house. And they did it. Did it well.
Let's all go to the lobby.
And we did. At Cinema Slasher, who would have guessed, traveling to Knott Scary Farm for my very first time, that their house not just one, but multiple houses from their event made it on my list this year. And number 7 was Cinema Slasher. A lot can be said about this house. It was a great homage to just that classic slasher character without sort of, dipping their toes into doing an IP property. So it's kind of cool. It's like their own take of doing those properties without doing the actual properties. And my only con for this house really was just the killer himself didn't feel really scary to me. Typically in this house, it's like you go through a theater room and then you go into a scene, you go into a theater room, into a scene. It was a little repetitive for me in that regard, but other than that, I still enjoyed the house. Obviously, it's here on the list. I was blown away because this is a new maze by Knott Scary Farm for this year, and it's a great showcase of what they can do with just the budget they have. Wow, just floored away, especially the final scene where kind of like everything just goes chaotic. It's really dope to see. Cinema Slasher, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this going forward.
And we have now entered the final room before we go into Chucky. I'm excited. Right, so we just got out of Chucky Kill Count. Interesting house. Some of the scenes were like, what are you guys doing with this house? It's all over the place. It's not that great.
Now, it was so unique to see Orlando and Hollywood battling each other again on this list of having the same property. And you would think Orlando, with its budget, its design, everyone always says Orlando is the better event than Hollywood, and yet Hollywood was the one to knock it out the park with Chucky. Just hilarious. I stood in that line laughing to myself over and over again, watching just the different Chuckies talk. And then you enter the house and it is fantastic from there to the start to the end, with all the different Chuckies that are actual animatronics that are moving. Even though they're doing, very simple motions, they're still moving, as opposed to Orlando's event, which, yeah, maybe that's an anatomy for a future video of like how not to do a house. But for Hollywood, like I said, just great animatronics. Chucky felt like he was alive. It was everything I wanted in a Chucky house. If you're gonna give me a Chucky house with animatronics and not people dressed as Chucky, really cool. Great effects. Fantastic job, John Murdy. You did Chucky very proud. I loved every second of this Chucky house. Every time we went through, I was just laughing and laughing and laughing. So fantastic job. Hey everybody, I just wanted to say, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you all for the support, and now back to the video for number 5. And I can tell you it's not Stranger Things. And for number 5, we are heading back to Knott Scary Farm. Believe it or not, it is not the chilling chambers like everyone would probably think it is. Although that was a decent house. No, there was another house that was quite mind-warping, to say the least.
So he did.
Oh, hello.
Darkness and bright closes in. Yes, so happy. Thank you. Yes, all happy people go to your untimely but certain death.
Even though this house had been at the event for its third year in a row, this was my first time seeing it in person, and just talk about a house being such on the nail of a mind trip house. Just from the facade and seeing Mesmer kind of hang outside and talking to us, and then we go inside and his constant voice acting throughout the house.
It's becoming smaller. Our illustrated man ran out of room for his tattoos, but I convinced him that skin.
And it's constantly like this throughout the entire house, leaving you almost feeling very uneasy. And then some of the tricks and stuff you're seeing, like the walls are moving, there's eyes all over the wall. Knott Scary Farm doesn't really normally do icons other than, I would say, like Sarah Marshall as the witch. Wow, Mesmer is the closest you can have to a HHN icon character that was just basically made up for this house. And this is his house. Like, who knows if he has a deeper backstory, but it is fascinating to go through this house. It was a trip, to say the least, and I enjoyed, I think, every single second. I would have loved to do it more times through. We only went once through, but such a fantastic house.
The dance of death. As you slowly squeeze your wretched body.
And coming in at number 4, and this is where things start getting tricky for me, I had to ask a higher power to what should this be? And he spoke to me and said, number 4 should be
oldest human rituals. Every culture and every country for as far back as history has been recorded.
Talk about a house where everyone was thinking this is going to be an awful train wreck. Okay, maybe that's a future video. Let me know down in the comment section if you want to see me do that, about Horror Night taking properties and doing them better than the actual movie, or at least on par. I think that could be an interesting video, but let me know down in the comment section. Wow, we were 100% off on this one. I didn't really have high hopes going into this, but it floored me. Catherine! There was little things in there that they achieved, from it being very creepy and slow almost in the beginning, and then just hit the fan. This house was just intense. It never letting go of your soul. Scare. It was like they wanted every piece of your soul. Like, they were attacking you. And just so many like ad libs and HHN sayings that we love came from this house a lot. The body and the blood scene, that was excellent. Having certain positions with the girls being behind a door, that was scary. Even the Hollywood and the Orlando version were fantastic. If I had to choose one, it's the Orlando version over the Hollywood version, at least for this house.
What the hell?
The last 3 can really be interchangeable. Talk about 3 separate different experiences, 3 totally different type of houses. We're going back to Knott Scary Farm again, and surprisingly, there were some houses that I was really hoping that did justice to Knott Scary Farm, and this one was not on my radar when I went to their event. And this one just surprised me.
Explore a world beyond your imagination awaits.
It's like, what?
Being that this house is an older house, probably at least, what, 4 or 5 years, the cast in that house just elevated to another level. Like, engrossed in this world of like being in this wax museum and stuff, and the characters were all, it was just like, what is going on in this house? Like, it's just scares, and the characters are lingering out and they're acting so weird, and I was just set up going into the night for Not Scared Farm with that house being still one of my top experiences. That, Mesmer, and obviously Cinema Slasher, which are all three on this list, those were the ones that impressed me the most. And Waxworks was just that. It was just wow, just scares left and right. And then the design of this place was just creepy, and it felt dirty. It felt very grimy in a sense, behind the scenes of like a wax type of museum. I'm happy to have seen Waxworks. Thank you to the cast. Thank you to Not Scary Farm for putting on a fantastic show this year for your 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And number 2 on this list. Wow, talk about a house that was quite a different experience from the rest of them on this list. I've been going to haunted houses for many, many years. I'm talking probably at this point, 20 plus years, maybe. And this one did something I'd never had really felt and seen done in a haunted house before.
Step into the world of The Last of Us.
Now, talk about a house being not really scary. So we can knock that off the board, but why is it my number 2? You might be asking. Well, that is because to take the world of The Last of Us, and I'm not a fan of the game, I only watched the HBO TV show, and yet I felt engrossed into this world with Joe and Ellie.
Algae, brah?
Let's get going.
That part just made it so interesting to almost watch two actors kind of portray and play out in scenes that play out, as opposed to it just being jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. There were little moments sprinkled throughout this house where you felt almost close to these characters, and I think that's what drove it to be a number 2 for me. It was just an experience that I'll never forget, and I think about it every time now that I've rewatched the videos. I just had such an excitement, and it was cool watching my friend April, who was a fan of the game. Like, she watched playthroughs of the game, so she knew the characters, and she was all giddy going through the house. So it almost like was a double effect of me being excited and having fun, and then seeing another person enjoy the house just as much. It was truly a unique experience. In some of the scenes, like I said, it's not an expansive house. It didn't feel really big. It felt really short, and there wasn't a whole lot of scares, but I think it just delivered. When I think of The Last of Us, that's what I wanted. And Orlando didn't quite live up to that for me. They gave me the idea of like, we're going to take The Last of Us and we're going to just expand it and make it such a humongous house. But it made the game special. The human touch of it, the emotion, it lost that. Fantastic job. Thank you, John Murdy. You nailed it for the year. Thank you. I keep thinking about The Last of Us multiple times, so thank you for that. And here we have arrived at number 1 for the list for the best mazes of 2023. And what do you think it is? What's that? Nah, not that one. Nah, close. And coming in at number 1 was Stand Above the Rest. And when you look at the recipe book, it needs to have, obviously, a story. It needs to have believable characters. Scares are in there. Set design needs to be unique, interesting. You need to believe that when you walk through the doors, you are in that world.
I just want to play on a big stage and become famous.
You give me your soul.
Dear, music is not life.
The deal is done.
I mean, I don't see how anyone else can put anything above this house. Not only did I hear from multiple people that this was their favorite house, when I checked into the multiple hotels and I listened to other conversations, people were always talking about the darkest deal. The house had such an interesting design where you were going inside and outside and just through the bar, and it felt like you were really into this world. Some really cool effects it had in there, especially with the pine straw, his soul kind of being taken. That was a really, really cool effect. Ooh, man. The only con I think people said about this house, and I agree, is that it felt a little short, just a little, but it just had so much character to it, so much design, so much about this house was just, oh, chef's kiss.
You're mine forever.
Like this is it. I don't think there's much more you can do with this story of having the collector kind of come back again, unless he comes back like in the 1980s for like a rock band. Could be on to something there. Fantastic job. Thank you, Halloween Horror Nights, and Charles Gray, I think, who designed this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fantastic house. Please give us more. What were some of your highlights? Even if you only did Horror Nights, leave what you thought was some of your best. Click this video to check out our podcast about this list and how we went about it and some of the troubles and stuff. So thank you all, and I will catch you on another video, obviously, very, very soon. Thank you all.